What's up, everybody? Future Man Gaming here, and I'm sitting here just going, whoa, wow, wow, as that trailer's being played. Oh my gosh. ReCore, we have Joseph Staten from Microsoft here to talk about the game. Of course, the amazing Anna Prosser over here joining me on the stage.
I'm like sitting on my hands about this one, Future
Right?
Man. I'm so excited about ReCore. Ever since I saw it last year at E3, I've been dying to learn more.
It looks so cool.
Can you tell us more?
I'm here to tell you.
About
okay,
it.
good.
I'm here to tell you about it.
We saw the trailer with all these new characters that we hadn't had names for before. And can you give us the overview of who they are, why we were introduced to them?
Sure, absolutely. So you have the main character, Jewel Adams, who is the female heroine of the game, and she's alone on this planet called Far Eden, except for these friendly robots called Corebots. And this time at E3, we're showing off 3 of them: Mac, the blue dog; Seth, the cowardly yellow spider; and Duncan, the big tough red heavy hitter or gorilla guy. And as you go throughout the world of Far Eden, you'll meet up with them at different times in the game, and they each have different abilities to help you explore the world and fight the bad guys.
That's cool. So you play as the main protagonist, but these characters jump in randomly as you progress through the story?
Correct. So Jewel starts off with Mac, who is her companion that she was paired with before she went to Far Eden. Each of the colonists has one core bot that was designed to help them and be their friend. And she wakes up with Mac. All the other humans are gone. Most of the robots have gone crazy. And as she goes through the adventure, she ends up meeting Seth and then Duncan. And so you progress throughout the game, unlocking them over time.
It looked like this crazy blending of like a third-person shooter mixed with some actual difficult platforming. And you were telling me that this game, while it looks nice and colorful, and maybe you think like, oh, this would be like an easy platformer or walk in the park, you know, it's actually very difficult because it was made by the guys who made Mega Man, the guys who made Metroid. And so I'm loving that as somebody who personally is like, I accept that challenge and then fail. You know, what can we look for in terms of, are there difficulty levels? Is it something that as you get better, you'll be able to overcome that difficulty?
Right. So I grew up playing classic games like Metroid and Mega Man, and I always loved that really seems easy but is super challenging combination of action and platforming. That's exactly what this game is. So over time, Jewel will unlock different abilities to traverse the world more easily, or different weapon effects. So yeah, absolutely. There are a number of cool systems that are layered on top of each other. It's easy to pick up and play. It's really hard to master. I know a lot of games say that, but this is really true for ReCore. It's been fun to bring it to E3 and have people sort of step up and grab the controller like, I'm going to waste this demo pretty quick. And by the end of it, they're really
crying.
Challenged. But the fun thing is, it's fun to watch people go in the first 30 seconds and be a little confused by, like, what are all my options here? Oh my God, I didn't know there'd be this much stuff to do. By the end of 10 minutes, they're engaging with all the different abilities and tools and just having a really fun time.
That's
so,
awesome.
yeah.
What's the official designation for this game? Action platformer?
We're calling it an action platformer.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely. And, you know, definitely there's a really strong story and adventuring elements mixed in. ReCore is broken up into an overworld, this desert world that you can explore, and then dungeons that are hidden beneath the dunes. So once you go into those dungeons, you saw a couple of them in the trailer. Some of them are story dungeons. Some of them are straight up traversal dungeons just for time challenges and that sort of thing. But yeah, absolutely. It's a big world, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Are there a bunch of different weapons? I saw a cool grappling hook. Are there tons of different abilities? Is that in conjunction with the other robots that you meet?
Yeah. So Jewel has got her rifle. That's her primary weapon. But she's also got the extractor, which is the cooler version of a grappling hook.
The extractor.
That's right.
That does sound
cool.
cool.
Because not only do you grapple, but you get to latch onto the cores of the enemy robots, and you get to yank them out. And that's part of the crafting system that we're not really talking about too much here, but there's a cool progression system to the game as well that lets you upgrade lots of things. So you have the extractor, you've got the rifle, and probably your most useful weapons are the core bots themselves.
Yes.
So each core has a special attack, and depending on the frame that they're in, the dog or the spider, those change up a little bit. So you're always assessing, like, what's the color of my enemy? What's his abilities? If I'm fighting a blue spider, it might be good to send in my blue-cored dog for a certain, certain reason. So, again, it seems deceptively simple. You think, oh, just color matching, but that's actually not that at all. That's just where it begins. So your core bots are not just your friends, your companions in the story, but they're also one of your weapons in combat too.
Let's delve deeper into that, because that sounds really interesting. And that's one of the first things I noticed, even back at the original reveal of this, was we have those cores in the robots, and the name being ReCore. I'm assuming I'm putting cores back in. And you mentioned a color system.
Yep.
Are there different colored cores that I'm collecting and putting in different robots, or are they all that same blue?
Yeah, exactly. So it's sort of hard to see from the outside, but the way that it works is The cores, you can see here, Mac is the name of the blue core. And currently Mac is in a dog frame, but if you wanted to, you could take Mac, the blue core, out and put him into a spider frame or a gorilla frame or some of the other frames. But Mac himself, he has certain kinds of lethal attacks, certain properties. You can see here he's sort of stunning this guy when he rushes in. That stun effect would carry over to different frames. So yes, the cores themselves have properties. The frames have different properties too. So you're really switching up, pulling cores out, putting them in different frames depending on the way you want to fight or the challenge that you're facing.
Gotcha.
When you pull out the enemy cores, you can fuse them with your own friendly cores and make them more powerful. And that's sort of how your cores level up. Every time you defeat an enemy, you have a choice. Do I want to rip out its core and build up my own core? Do I want to obliterate it and scrap it for parts that I can use to build up the different frames?
That's awesome. Yeah, I see XP. I mean, it looks like you can do combos and to get more XP. Now, is there what type of leveling up do you end up doing? Is it weapons? Is it just your character stats?
Multiple different things.
Yeah.
And we're not talking too much about it at E3. We're going to save some of that for the summer, but you can upgrade. Imagine upgrading Jules' weapon.
Yes.
The cores themselves, the frames. The combo system is really, really fun, and this is where the depth of the gameplay comes in. You can build up your combo, which makes your damage ability higher, and you can juggle enemies, switch back and forth between small enemies and big enemies. If you build up your combo meter high enough, you'll be able to instantly extract cores out of a bad guy.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if we show it in this video, but if Jewel doesn't have her combo meter built up high enough, once she latches on with her extractor, you have to go into sort of a push and pull, tug, fishing mechanic almost to really pull the cores out of these guys. And they'll fight back. Like, they don't want you to rip out their souls. You would, come on. So the robots are going to rear up and try to stop you from doing it. So again, just really fun, layered, deep systems for this game is really what makes it great.
And I see we're doing some corridor shooting, we're doing some exploration. What is the world like?
So this is one of the dungeons hidden underneath the sand, one of the different palette types. They're all different kinds of looking dungeons with different challenges. And you can see here, Jewel is having to deal with some energized platforms to get up to this treasure chest. Every dungeon is a mix of traversal, fun platforming mixed with combat.
And the story's going to be revealed as we go through, I assume?
Exactly.
Cool.
Exactly.
Yeah, she's got all sorts of different weapons going on here.
Yep. She just fired off an overcharge shot there for her rifle. Yep.
What are some of the important skills that gamers are going to need to have in this game? Is it going to be like shooters are really going to enjoy this, or are completionists, like collectors, really going to enjoy this?
Hopefully everybody. One thing you can see here, if you've been watching the gameplays, there's not a lot of cover in the world. In fact, there is really no cover. Jewel's cover is her ability to jump and dash and move. So it has this hyper agility almost.
Oh,
if you want to evade enemy attacks, you have to be able to jump and move and get out of the way. You're not going to hide behind a crate. Not going to be hiding behind a wall.
I like that.
Yeah. It's a very fast.
Be on the move.
Yeah, but it's not necessarily twitchy either. It's not about putting bullets on a pixel. Mark Pacini, the game director from Armature, likes to say this game, it's a shooting game, but it's not an aiming game necessarily.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's really about how you move, the targets you choose to target first, how you use your core bots. But it's not about like pixel perfect, hiding behind a box, popping out. It's all about flow and movement and speed.
Yeah.
Does that have to do with kind of the story behind Jewel? Because you mentioned that she's been kind of left behind. She's all alone. We don't see any other humans.
Yeah.
And she had this bot assigned to her to help her. So is that movement does it tell us something about who she is and what she does?
That's a great question. If you look carefully on her character, she's a human, but she's got this exoskeleton, this metal frame on her body. The reason why she has that is she is a technician. She was responsible for some of the terraforming systems. So she had to be able to move quickly and dash between different parts of the facilities. And those tools really come in useful in gameplay. So she's got these little rocket thrusters and boosters. But even there, another deep system. Like you can't just keep on using them. They have a recharge cycle. Some things in the world will help you recharge them. So you can imagine jumping over maybe gaps that you couldn't get to normally with certain devices that you could. So even traversal has a fun, deepness to it, which is really great.
I love the idea of like battling super hard and then being like, all right, now I'm just going to explore a little bit.
Yeah.
And then that still being a challenge on top of that. I was wondering what kind of enemies, like how many, what is the variety of enemies? Are there bosses? Are there mini bosses?
Yep, there are bosses. We aren't going to talk too much about them, but you can imagine sort of if you think of Metroid and you think of Mega Man, like bosses are a big part of those games.
Okay.
But we have also a big spectrum of different enemies. So you have little tiny guys with like one mechanic, right? So you'll learn how to defeat them. And then you've got enemy core bots that are like your core bots, like dogs and spiders.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have bigger classes of enemies that are even more challenging. Sometimes an enemy has one color of a core. Sometimes an enemy might be able to swap the color of their core to add in additional challenge. So again, it's just surprisingly deep, I think, for people who pick it up and play it. So it should be a real challenge for people who love those classic games.
What's the goal? Is she trying to find out where the other humans win? Is she trying to stop all these bad robots? Can you tell us yet?
Those are all really good questions. Those sound like big, challenging, heroic goals.
I want to know.
What I can say is imagine that, Jewel went to this planet, Far Eden, to help make a new home for mankind. Something really bad has happened to Earth. We're not talking about that quite yet. But she was meant to sleep for 200 years and wake up and find this beautiful terraformed world with water and trees and grass. When she wakes up, none of that has happened. In fact, it's still a desert world, and all the robots that were meant to build the world up have gone crazy. So she's got a couple of big problems. How do I stay alive, defeat these robots, maybe fix them, bring them over to my side? And then the bigger problem, how do I save Far Eden, get the terraforming back on track, and find out where all the humans have gone, because she's the last one, as far as she knows.
Wow.
A little bit of mystery.
Yeah, there's a story.
There's
a big, fun, juicy story for people who like that, too.
Well, I'm super excited. I know Anna is. I know a bunch of you guys are. When can we get our hands on? I know there's a demo here.
Yep.
So if you're here, you can go check it out. You can play it right now.
Yes.
But where can we expect this, and when can we expect this coming out?
So we just announced that it's launching from September 13th of this year, so just in a couple months.
Hey, just in time for TwitchCon.
That is
really?
perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah,
All right.
TwitchCon's at the end of September.
Yeah, on Xbox One and Windows 10, and it's the first game, I believe, out of the gate for the Xbox Play Anywhere program. So
cool.
you buy it on Xbox, you can play it on Windows 10. If you buy it on Windows 10, you can play it on Xbox. You only have to buy it once, Play Anywhere. So it's really, really cool. Yeah.
Very cool.
You would know.
I know. I
there.
saw it. It's coming. Didn't want to spoil it.
Right. Cool.
Well, thank you for coming and talking
You bet.
to us
Thanks so
today.
much for
I am
having me.
so excited
Thank you.
Pleasure.
to play this game. It looks so good and super challenging and deep. You guys, we are live on Twitch right now. We got more great content coming up in a sec. Stick around. We will be right back.